Today, we're gonna put the Heath Riles brand competition barbecue rub to the test. Now, if you watch the channel a lot, you know that I do have a favorite rub, and we will not mention that during this video, but I will be putting it up against my homemade blend that I use for anything and everything, including I prefer this on brisket over anything else, which is my 3-2-1-1 blend. So if you want to find out what's in that, there's a link right here and you can check out a short video for that. Also, as a control, I brought out some simple table salt and table pepper here. These are not anything unique. They're standard table grind. They're not coarse. They're not anything crazy. For the steaks, we're going to go ahead and use 3 cross ribbed steaks. Really basic. I tried to get something that looked kind of uniform, and I think that what I'm going to do after I pull them off the plate here is I'm going to actually trim them so they're all going to be about the same size. I didn't realize that we had a little bit of a size difference here. Now don't worry, when I trim them to make them the same size, it's not going to waste. That'll be another snack. Now I'm going to run in the house and grab one of those Victorinox knives that I love so much. I'll be right back. I went ahead and brought out the curved boning knife for no particular reason other than the fact that it is one of the sharpest ones I have. Now, they're all overdue to be professionally sharpened, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Now, I'm gonna lay these on top of each other and kind of shape them up like a roast, so that way I can get an idea of which one's bigger and which one's smaller. You're gonna put the smallest one right on the top here. Them all nice and symmetrical on this corner, and then I'm going to just cut right through them so they all end up being the exact same size. And this thing is super sharp. It just went through that steak like butter, and oh, those look really good. We're going to slice those into strips. If I haven't told you before, I love these Victorinox knives. Of course, they're sharp, and you can get a lot of good brands of knives that are really sharp, but they're so light, just so easy to use. I'm going to set this off to the side for right this second. We'll go ahead and lay these 3 out. They look pretty symmetrical. I'm just going to take a little bit of this fat right off the edge here. A little bit right here. I'm going to eliminate it all, but there you go. Now we've got 3 steaks that are pretty close to the exact same size. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on the biggest one. We'll just do the tops and bottoms. We're not going to worry about the sides today on a steak. I typically don't worry too much about that. That on there. Flip it over. Push over a little bit so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. I feel like it needs more. I love the natural flavor of meats, but I'm notorious for under-seasoning everything. I'm a little salt averse, so I like to go a little lighter than go heavier. All right, we'll go ahead and just set this down for now, right over here. And we've got the 3-2-1, and again, when you leave it in your cabinet, make sure you get a good shake to make sure it's all mixed. Pop it open there. Let's do this one in the middle. So right off the bat, I noticed that the pepper in my mix is a little coarser than the competition barbecue rub. It's a little bit more, I think. Tonight's dinner is going to be salad with steak on it. So I'm not too worried about any of this stuff. It'll all go well with a regular green salad. So now we're just going to do a light sprinkling of pepper. Not trying to kill it with the pepper. It's more of a control than anything else. And then a light sprinkling of salt. You don't want to go completely unseasoned. And then the same on the other side. Now we've got that all done up, and I'm going to let it rest for 5 minutes. So we'll be right back. So it's been almost 5 minutes, and during the break, I went ahead and seasoned up these strips, and I'm just going to throw them on the propane grill and eat those with the competition rub. I want to be able to give that a try right away, and that'll only take a minute to cook these little strips on the grill. Now I'm bringing this up to temperature right now, and let's talk a little bit about that. I went ahead and loaded 6 hours worth of charcoal in there. And if you want to check that out, there's a link to that video right there, and got it going. It's still preheating. Even though it's loaded and going, it takes a little while for enough charcoal to get going good that you get the right temperature. Currently, we're showing 175 on the top, and we want to push it above 200. I would really like to see about 225. But anything above 200 is great, and anything below 250 is fine also. I'd rather go a little bit slower and lower than go over and overcook the steak. We're aiming for a cook temperature of about 140 in these steaks because I don't want them to be well done, but I also don't want them to be medium rare either. Just past medium rare is where I like to go. When I sous vide, I cook them up to 133, and then I throw them in the cast iron. But today, we're going to go straight from the smoker, straight to the plate. Let's go ahead, and it is still rising in temperature. We're going to go ahead and load it. The first thing we're going to do, like you know, I'm going to put on a grill mat. I love these grill mats. It just makes my life so much easier and keeps things really clean. And again, I can move things around without the hassle. This grill mat, I cut it to fit inside here. I'm going to go ahead and set the lid down here, and then always load your thickest piece of meat first. Not that it makes a big difference when you're doing steaks that are this size. And I'm going to try to put the curved side to the inside so that way they can all kind of get an equal distance from the heat and on center. Now let's go ahead and recap really quick. This is the Heath Riles Competition Barbecue Rub. This is my 3-2-1, and this is lightly salt and peppered. Like I said, that's more of a control than anything else. Go ahead and get that lid back on there as soon as possible. Of course, we're letting out heat, but we're also stoking the fire when we have the lid off a little bit, so that'll help the fire spread a little bit and move forward. So now is kind of a waiting game. Now these steaks are too thin for a wireless probe, but we can use the regular probe, which I have sitting right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to stick it in there. I'm not going to fight through the plug today, but if you were doing a really long cook, I would recommend that you went through the plug. So we'll go ahead and drop that on there. This one looks like a really good spot to go into. Trying to get right in the middle. And then I want to put just a little bit of slack in there. And now that's going to mess up the seal just a tiny bit, but we can adjust that by closing that top, and we'll get most of that seal to be under control. So as soon as I get to the temperature I want, I'm going to start backing down the vents. Currently, I have the 3 bottom ones open all the way and the top one open. Plus we have a little bit of venting around here because of the probe. Let's check the temperature. Takes a minute or so for the probe to equalize, but that should be about where we are now. And we are at 46 degrees. I pulled it out of the refrigerator and got the cameras ready, got everything going. It didn't have a long time to rest. So I think total time between getting it in the smoker was somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. So that's why we're still only at 46 degrees. So let's go ahead and take a break. For you, that'll just be 1 second, and I'll let you know when we come back how long it's been for me. So I just finished grilling up my lunch, and I gotta tell you that I couldn't resist coming back. Before I do that, we're running almost a solid 225 on this smoker. I love the temperature control on the Weber Smokey Mountain. Gonna go ahead and cut this. You can see what we got going here. This is one of the thicker ones. I did already eat a couple, so there's that. But just a little bit of pink in there. It's perfectly cooked. These little strips only take a minute, so I think it was 2 minutes on each side. So look at that. And the coating is nice on both sides. This is really good. Had it on a pork chop yesterday and put a little bit on top of a breakfast bake for a potluck for my wife, and it went over really well, and I loved it. Again, I could have used more on the pork chop and on the breakfast bake, but man, I think I got it dialed on this little piece of meat here. So we're gonna go ahead and let this go for a while. We only have about another, say, 30 minutes left to go, and then these steaks are gonna be ready. And then we'll be able to try them and see which one is better. I got high hopes on this one because, again, my biggest concern is usually salt content, and that's not a problem with what I'm eating right here. So I'm pretty happy about that. So I'm looking at the thermometer right now, and I'll grab that. I moved the cord to the back so the smoke would exit out that way. We've got 144, and I wanted to pull them somewhere in between 143 and 145, so I think we should do this. It did cook slightly faster than I had planned on, and we're running right now at about 210 because I did crank down the vents just a little bit. Go ahead and open that up. The tongs here, gonna go ahead and remove the thermometer probe. Just leave that right there for now. I'm gonna flip them over so that way we can get rid of a little bit of this juice. Now again, if I were doing this for a normal dinner, I would go throw these on the grill or I would throw them in a cast iron pan, but we're doing this for the testing. So we're not gonna go to that point. So there is the 321. Here is the Heath Riles competition rub. And here is the control, which is lightly salt and peppered. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on this so that way that grill mat can burn off a little bit. And I'm going to turn the thermometer off so it doesn't beep and bother us. Now just look at that. Let's get even a closer look. I want you to see this on the main camera. This is my new Bellware's cutting board. It's got the track on it, but my favorite thing is it's got these little feet. So if I go like this thing does not move at all. And I saved my plate from lunch, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a few slices here, so we'll cut it right in here. So you can see what we're dealing with. get another really close look here. All right. So this is the 3-2-1. I just love my own flavor combination. When you mix your own seasonings, you get exactly what you like. That is some really good stuff. And here's our control. That's a great steak, but it really needs seasoning to go with it. So let's go back over this really quick. Now, when I do any type of cook, I usually layer flavors along with everybody else. You'll see people, they'll put down mustard as a binder, which will get you a little bit of that mustard flavor, but hardly at all. And then you'll add things on top, like a layer of garlic or 2 different types of rub. Every rub, in my opinion, will work out better if you layer it with other flavors. I typically, when I do pork, I will layer a layer of garlic and then I will use the rub over top of it. And similar with beef is that I will layer a layer of pepper and then add on top of it. Now, my 3-2-1 is pretty close on the pepper level to where I like it, but it could always use just a little bit more on a big brisket. Now, the Heath Riles stuff is really tasty and I am really happy with it. It's kind of comparable to what I use, but with a different flavor profile. And I think that just a touch of pepper, and I think that this would probably be excellent. Now, of course, there is pepper and other spices in there, but with the beef, I think it needs a little bit more pepper. And again, yesterday with my pork chop, it definitely needed a little more garlic. But that's the same with any rub that you're gonna buy. It's gonna need just a little touch to dial it in to the meat, or one is good with one meat and one is good with a totally different. I think that this one is a very versatile place to start from what I'm tasting here so far. And of course, I just have my lunch, which is what this empty plate is, and I had all of that on those steak strips. Now, I really think that if you buy this, you'll be happy with it. Again, it's not overly salty, and that's my biggest pet peeve with commercial seasoning mixes. So, check this out. I think you'll be really happy with it. You'll find a link in the description below. And if you saw anything else like the Weber Smokey Mountain, which is absolutely one of my favorite smokers, and I call it the pork butt king, you will really be happy if you have this for cooking pork butts in it, or small briskets and large roasts, ribeye, rib roast, something for holiday season, or just trimming back anything that will fit in there well. I think my next cook is gonna be some poor man's burnt ends in this smoker because I love those, especially with a big chuck. I'm hoping it goes on sale after the holidays. So thanks for watching and have a great day.